DevOps for 5 years, and I have interacted with different industry practitioners. I see and feel that there were two different kind of problems in the system which the industry was trying to solve with DevOps. One type and segment of early adopters were people who were having slowness in their operations capability, operations function. And the other industry segment was looking at how to improve software development life cycle, how to build pipeline and integrity in the system so that they can integrate a larger set of developers in the ecosystem of development, right?
Okay.
So these were the two different aspects when I look at it as early onboarders to DevOps. Now, these two types of early onboarders started hitting the problem in two directions, and that's where the conversations started to get more complicated. So if you think about like the why, if the operations organization is thinking about removing defects, reducing scrap, reducing deviation in the system, so they actually started looking at, okay, how am I dealing with my infrastructure? Can I make my infrastructure more integrated in the environment and build infrastructure as code components so that it brings visibility, transparency, integrity into the system. And I can also ensure that every time I go into a prod environment, pre-prod environment, the environment looks the same. So what are the immutable components? So this is like the operations organization. When it comes to how development of centric organization started looking at defects and scrapping of code, as well as reducing the deviations in the system, I said, okay, why shouldn't I have a integrated CI/CD pipeline where all my developers, all my testers can come together. They can branch out their code. They can actually come in, they view this the same kind of artifacts and resources, and have the same kind of ways of working, so that we have the same platform. So they started looking at CI/CD pipelines, and they brought in tools and capabilities to tackle that problem, right?
Right.
Again, I mean, there are various whys. This is one of the whys I'm mentioning. I can actually also say that some of the early adopters, which I have been working with, I also were facing a problem that they were producing more than they needed. Because in the journey from waterfall to agile, some of these problems got introduced that with the speed came overproduction. Now, how operation-centric organizations dealt with it was through looking at DevOps principles and practices. They were trying to ensure that the infrastructure planning starts with the development. So basically, they started shifting left. Also, from a scale perspective, how the infrastructure would be scaled up in increments, right? And lastly, assessing cloud adoption and optimization techniques. This was like from an operation-centric point of view. Now, when you come to development-centric point of view of overproduction, what was happening is that in the view of making it smaller and faster, it kind of became a problem statement in some of these dimensions. So then these development centric organizations started looking at MVPs, right? Minimum viable products, and how you can loosely couple your environment into microservices so that you can actually build faster time to market releases, so that you can get quicker feedback, right? So this, if you think about these two dimensions and these two things, you will be able to understand that this problem of DevOps cultural integration was getting solved by two different point of views. And now where we are today is that the boundaries are blurring, and we are reaching to a point where operations and development organizations have started thinking about these problems together, and we are starting to see that more and more collaboration is happening to deal with these problems through cross-functional teams, to build a talent pipeline of a T-shaped or X-shaped organizations. So that's something which is happening as we speak.
Okay, amazing.